Hi, my name is Heaven Austin. For this week's video blog, I will start with summarizing a little bit of what we read. So during the industrial age, assembly line techniques were coming about, and schools began modeling themselves after the assembly line, preparing their workers for what was relevant at that time. Curriculum consisted mainly of the memorization of facts, and the skills that were taught were pivotal to the success in the industrial age. As technology became more advanced, a different type of workforce was needed. However, one thing remained unchanged. Even though technology was progressing, the structure of our schools remained unchanged. It did not change with the times. And generally, all schools are similar. They operate in the same manner. And one thing that Scheninger pointed out that I really liked was he said that given the pace of change in our technology-driven world, our current education system does not adequately prepare our students for their world. Technology should be integrated with any educational vision or plan that attempts to help individuals, especially children, understand their world. As Picciano pointed out, teaching for using technology for technology's sake is an expensive and a futile effort. Instead, technology should be seen as a tool to succeed in learning rather than just an extra. In my mind, it's kind of like the difference between watching a 2D movie at home or going to the theater for a 3D experience. Using technology for technology's sake is just a waste of resources. And that brings me to my personal professional experience. I grew up in I went to a very small K through 12 rural school. We had one computer per classroom. It was used to play educational games like the Oregon Trail. It was just the main way that we were taught was on a chalkboard, and then as I got into high school, we got whiteboards. So whenever I started teaching, even though I was a young teacher and I thought I was in tune with technology, I was still very hesitant to use technology in my classroom because the only way I had ever learned was on a whiteboard. And so my first classroom was equipped with a smart board, but at first I just utilized it as a fancy whiteboard because that's what I was comfortable with. And so I was just using technology for technology's sake just because it was there. Through the year, I began consulting with other teachers on what they were using their smartboard for in their classroom, and through the year, my classroom became much more interactive, and it made such a big difference in how motivated my students were to want to learn and to want to be involved in the lessons. So one thing that we did was we utilized the dance mats from Dance Dance Revolution, and we would change them over to educational things. Kids loved it, and it completely changed the whole tune of our classroom. The one article that I referenced for this video focused on rural schools and using technology. In the article, researchers asked the question, why are teachers tending to use instructional technologies in very limited and unimaginative ways? Several reasons were cited, including technical difficulties, limited support, insufficient time, and the overhead of standardized testing. They often passed up professional development opportunities, saying that technology-mediated instruction was more labor-intensive and not any more effective, and that could be no further from the truth. Technology can make our teaching life so much easier, and it's so motivating for the students, and it is effective. During the reading, I was reminded of Matthew 5:13 that tells us that we are the salt of the earth, but if that salt has lost its taste, then it's not good for anything except to be thrown out. So I liken that to technology. Technology is using it for just for the sake of technology is like salt losing its taste. It's not being used for anything. It's not good for anything. It might as well just not exist. But salt can take a dish and it can completely change the flavor of it. And I believe that technology can do the same. It can take a 2D classroom experience and bump it up to a 3D classroom experience.